My throat hurts so bad.
Good. I love when people wear green stuff to OU things. If you ever want to donate, I am always. Because I definitely need more things. I just keep showing up in purple, but it's okay.
So I think that
Thanks. Thanks.
have you been?
Yeah, I am. It's been pretty good. Sorry? We've all done cool stuff. So it's been good. How about you? I got to see Paul Critton Park. That was great.
Arthur, you're finished.
It was.
So maybe.
Yeah.
But I get really excited about the opportunity and to allow others to engage in that space as well.
Me too. And then students are already using it. Like a lot. I know.
I wanted to say the weather was probably that
Yeah.
some locations, but I'm gonna go down there and see what's it's really as well. I imagine it's like it's corner.
Yeah.
But also as we look at future investments into that space, can we invest in something else? Like some
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
propane fireplaces or something like that.
You won't get your.
Lots of
Yeah.
ideas, but
Lots of amazing ideas.
I just haven't come here early enough.
It feels wrong. Yeah, crying. You smell gross. I know. Molly getting under her dress.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah. It's very nice.
It looks like every also, Trinity's probably.
Yeah, that's what. So I mean, it's
Where's that one?
I'll pull it up. Because she's more wolfy than lots of other dogs. She'd be a wolf.
That's so cute. Oh, we have interns.
That's what my first name was. I mean, not mine.
Oh my gosh, Kathy. So I went to this thing for they're having
I think I do actually.
But
Tomorrow.
I just I have the crazy.
Oh, we can talk about it next week. It doesn't matter too much. If you want to go back,
where do you go from there? No, I
we can push it back to next week. It'll kind of be on a weekly recurring basis until we can build our actual program to get to the role. So pushing back to next week. So you can get
sometimes like
definitely. We'll push it back. Don't worry about it. I'll send it out an email invite or like a calendar invite and also information. And
let me sit down. You sit here and don't sound that loud.
I found it.
I know.
If we don't take your seats now. Or the
No, I want to.
I
My mom, she's adopted, so she didn't have any of her bio with her.
Doing great. How are you?
She didn't have any of her.
That. Well, sometimes people
That's awesome.
It always helps.
It does.
Are you interviewing today?
Everyone.
Okay, all right, all right.
Yes, we're trying to, for sure. That's good. No, I'm ready to. Keep it going, y'all.
I keep feeling good that nobody here, but it's because JP is getting nice.
Yeah, also, aren't you technically supposed to be on this side?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
This is where we sat the first meeting, and this is probably where it's gonna stay.
Hey, man, that's it. You get that for sure. Alrighty, time to rock and roll. Alright. I call this meeting to order. Are there any students to speak out this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on with our presentation. Oh, two announcements. I always do that. Are there any announcements for tonight? All right, seeing none, we can move on with our presentation. So tonight, I would like to introduce members from Residence Life and Housing to come down, especially Miss Janine Hacker.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Happy week 8 of fall semester. So on behalf of Housing and Residence Life, we are so excited to be here and join you today in conversation. First and foremost, I would like to thank you for leadership and advocacy on behalf of our students and their experience. Your voice matters with influencing change for Ohio University. So we really take the opportunity to engage with you tonight just to share a little bit about our comprehensive housing and residence life experience, as well as some sneak previews to a housing master planning process. But for those of you who do not know me, my name is Janine Hacker, and I have the privilege and the pleasure of serving as the Executive Director for Housing and Residence Life. I will share that I am new to this role. I've only been in this position effectively. December 1st will be 1 year, so I'm still learning. But I've been at Ohio University for 31 years. I stepped foot on Ohio University's campus as a first-year, first-generation college student. And I have been here for 30 years, and I'm hopeful that I have impacted all students in their experience in a way that my experience has been impacted as well. So even though I'm standing here before you today as the Executive Director, it is fair to share that when I transitioned to Ohio University as a first-year, first-generation college student, it did not come without struggles and challenges. I was socially isolated. I was disconnected from our community. I was not engaging in ways and meaningful ways that we know contributes towards our student success. And had it not been for the keenful eye of an RA, who in here is an RA? Or has been an RA? Had it not been for the keenful eye of an RA who recognized my struggles and intervened and helped me to connect in all the appropriate ways, I'm not so sure that I would persist. And I share that just because I would like to amplify how important the residential experience can be for students and their transition and their success. So I am only one leader within housing and residence life that contributes daily to our students and their experience. So it's my pleasure to also introduce my colleagues. And I'd like to do so because as you walk away tonight, learning a lot about a comprehensive housing and residence life experience, is know that there are many committed and dedicated staff members within housing and residence life that's here to support you in your competency and your interest with influencing change here at Ohio University. Jen?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Jen Mascio. I'm the Director of Resident Life for HRL. I've also been here since I was a student, just 30 years ago now too. As Jamie mentioned, please never hesitate to reach out. I can ask questions. I'm John Macalia. I have been here at the university serving business operations for 10 years now. I am the proud wife of an alumni of Rusk College of Engineering. And just like my two fabulous colleagues here, I'm committed to making Ohio home for each and every one of our residents that walk through our door. So we have a student-centered service approach with everything we do in operations. And just like Jen said, if you are interested in learning or having conversations, we have an open door policy in our office. So come on in and have a conversation with us. We can't wait to talk to you.
And Molly, I apologize in advance. Was there a time limit on the presentation?
Yeah.
Begin for one.
So we have about 20 minutes, but if there's extra questions, we can go an extra 5 minutes.
Great, I appreciate that, and I do apologize in advance. I'm passionate, I have a tendency to overshare, but hopefully it's good information for you. So Ohio University, welcome home. As John has said, that we have a very student-centered approach to ensuring that each and every Bobcat finds their sense of place here at Ohio University, finds that sense of home. And part of that is driven by our overall mission. Here at Ohio University, we develop inclusive communities where students engage, learn, and thrive. We make Ohio home. For all of you, how many of you in your search process never even considered Ohio University? It was never even on your radar, right? How many of you transitioned to Ohio University for an Ohio Up Close visit and immediately walked on campus and knew this is where you would commit the next 4 years? Right? So even though I shared that I had some struggles as a first generation college student, I too, Ohio University was never on my radar. I had committed to a school up north. And I came here in 1990 to attend the volleyball camp. Obviously, I was not the spiker. But I remember vividly coming in the highway, 682, seeing Ohio University, the view with the visual of South Green, as well as the Hocking River. And I stepped on campus and I asked myself, what is this magical place? And I think that there is something very special and unique about Ohio University where students really find a sense of home, but it does not happen organically for some of our students. And so that is the role of a comprehensive housing business ed program, is to help students find that sense of place and that sense of home. And we do that through a variety of ways. And I know that I was asked to talk about the housing master planning process, but I think that it's important to share some of the things that we do programmatically to invest into our students, their success, and a dynamic residential experience. One of the things that we take pride in here at Ohio University with our leaders within Housing and Residence Life is making a very large residential experience feel very small, intimate, and connected through this development of what we call neighborhoods, which you all probably call homes. We have East Green, we have West Green, we have South Green, and as we start thinking about future developments, we want to ensure that we protect that sense of neighborhood amongst all greens, recognizing that perhaps South Green is losing a little bit of its identity. So we know that South Green is referred to as the side 5, the front 4, and the back south, and we want to change that. We want to ensure that there's a sense of connection on South Green, very similar to the connection that happens on East Green and South Green. And it's important because students are developing community not only within their residential facilities, but also with their neighbors on the green, as well as with students across greens in a larger community. And we want to create programming that really maximizes our ability for our Bobcats to connect with Bobcats holistically across campus, and also through campus experiences like student organizations, activities, and leadership opportunities like Student Senate. So some intentional ways that we help students connect and help students make home. These are departmental priorities, but also university priorities as well. One is called the Bobcat Living Experience, and that is a framework that we use in Housing and Residence Life for our teams to customize an approach and a strategy to help our students connect with staff, with one another, but also get connected through programming efforts in our halls. And it creates a framework, and once again, what we are trying to do is create these experiences where students engage, are included, and thrive in their residential experience. We also want to ensure that we are amplifying very important university strategies and priorities. So make respect visible. We partner with Dr. Bruce with a variety of experiences to ensure that we continue to amplify the messaging and and the impact that has been showcased through the Respect Visible campaign, which we know that that is an educational strategy. Thrive, for those of you who do not know what Thrive is a new sister campaign parallel to Make Respect Visible. And what I really love about Thrive is when you look at the naming convention, everything is capitalized except for the I. And what that stresses and reinforces is that everybody has their own individualized journey towards well-being, and imperfection is okay. And I want you all to remember that. So as you are finding your way and stepping into a leadership position, we don't strive for perfection, we strive for excellence, and imperfection is okay. But fundamentally, the Thrive campaign is about care and connect, and who better to help students connect in ways and care for students in those connections with one another and resources than housing and life. And then another concept specific to housing and life is behavioral impact. We call that the 3 C's. So how can we be intentional with our programming, with creating experiences where students are comfortable within their space, that are connecting in meaningful ways to positively contribute within that living experience, but also with their neighbors and the greater community as well. These are just some highlights of things that we have done fall semester. We've done a lot. I'm going to brag on my team. And when I brag on my team, it is SRAs, RAs, housing ambassadors, student service ambassadors, our social media and marketing team. Our students are fundamental and core to our success, up to our assistant directors, associate directors, guidance directors, and executive directors. But even though our team was hard at work welcoming 7456 first and second year students, staff, and some upper class students to our campus Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday of fall semester open. We also were partnering with the Campus Involvement Center and Conference and Event Services to create experiences that helps students foster those connections immediately when they step foot on campus. We also partnered with the First Week Welcome Week Experiences. We are continuing to partner with Campus Involvement Center as we offer Thursday community engagement night. So if you do not know, we welcome you and we invite you down to the Living Learning Center. We have outdoor music, A-Rock. He's been rocking it out all semester, but he is playing music on the South Green outside of the LLC. We're complementing with outdoor games, which students can check out from a well-being perspective. And we also have indoor board games as well for students who like those as activities. How many of you have ever been to Marty and Stewie? It is a great long-standing tradition. It is a craft night, and there's always meaning and intention behind those crafts and ways that will help foster that learning for our students as well. If y'all know Kathy Murphy, she is fantastic. She engaged me in a craft night. She gave me a C+. So I'm working on being my this work the next time that I go. But it's a great opportunity to connect. Ohio Late Nights, that occurs on Saturday, and that's coordinated for Housing Management as well. And that is based on students' response to have opportunities to engage with one another on Saturday night as an alternative to whatever else is happening on Saturday nights. Ohio Late Nights as well, first 7 weeks. We know the importance of helping our students connect the first 7 weeks and the impact that that has on student retention. And so we have developed a series of green-based events for our students to engage, and we're also doing it through the lens of access, equity, and inclusion. We had an international student inform us that they felt very disconnected during Parents' Weekend, Mom's Weekend, Dad's Weekend, because the ability for their parents to transition and join these festivities was not possible. And so they felt like they could not be included in programming experiences. So we were very intentional with developing some experiences that not only supported our international students during Parents' Weekend, but invited students who had housing insecurities or out-of-state students in which perhaps their parents could not travel, to create community-based service experiences to engage holistically our students in that weekend experience as well. Signature programs and experiences. As mentioned, the Bobcat Living Experience provides framework to customize in-hall programming that students are attending and they are absolutely loving. And so we are going to ensure that we have a repository of those signature programs that we know have demonstrated a high level of success for our students in their engagement and in their interests. But also, we work hard to create experiences that best support students where they are at in their transition. And I'm going to share two, just because I know there have been some questions specific to gender inclusive housing, as well as the LINKS program. Those are programs that we were very interested with standing up to support our students. But students, you all advocated, and you advocated very well, and we are creating experiences and working towards continuous improvement opportunities to ensure that it is fully inviting, engaging, and inclusive for students that want to be part of those experiences. Gender inclusive housing started as a specialized living experience in around 2010. Based on the advocacy on a student group, we were already having intentional conversations how we could be pioneers amongst other institutions and create that experience for students who have affirming identities and wanted a living experience that really fostered a sense of safety. But a couple years ago, we were approached by students who wanted choices. They didn't necessarily want to be part of a specialized living experience, but perhaps they wanted access to suite style facilities or singles over on the West Wing because they're an engineering student. And so we're meeting Jonna and her team. They have developed expansion of gender inclusive living experiences that fully support students where they want to be in their residential experience. But the work is not yet done. And so if you have ideas and thoughts, we'd love to hear those thoughts and ideas. Similarly, we were approached by some students to create a specialized living experience, particularly for our students of color. And so Jen Mesquil worked in partnership with the OnStar to create the foundational program LINKS. And we have about 14, 20 students who are living in Perkins as part of a living experience, but we've heard students and heard them loud and clear that they feel that Perkins serves as a barrier to engaging students and maximizing students who want to be part of that living experience. So there's lots of ideas, there's lots of thoughts, there's collaborations and conversations that are happening. But as we select spaces, we want to ensure that we maximize access, recognizing that there are some halls that have a higher price point that could serve as a barrier for students engaging in those living experiences as well. Okay, so we talked a little bit about programming. Let's jump into the physical assets and our investing into our existing residential portfolio and creating experiences that will support not only our Bobcats of today, but our Bobcats of the future. So the outdoor engagement space, Hammock Park. How many of you were at our dedication ceremony that happened last Friday? Great. We love this space. Students are utilizing this space in ways that we never thought we could utilize it. But there are two hammocks. The one on the left is a hammock park that can accommodate 56 hammocks at a given time. But from a sustainability lens, it helps to protect the integrity of our trees across campus because we know that there's an impact when people erect hammocks on trees. But the one on the right is a utility wall, and we are going to actively invite our housing and residence space staff members for outdoor programming, student organizations for outdoor programming, faculty and staff for outdoor programming. And how can we create experiences that really focuses on a student's sense of belonging, but also a student's sense of well-being. So that's just one opportunity of how we invest into our physical structures to really invest in our students and their experience. We have a 6-year capital improvement plan, which I will say has temporarily been suspended, and I'll touch base on that in a moment. But what we are focusing on right now, Cambridge Starter is offline. We are investing into converting a 2-pipe to a 4-pipe chiller system. And what that will enable us to do is install the windows, take out those window air conditioning units, and have central HVAC within that facility. We're also looking at utility infrastructure upgrades that will allow for us to go in and renovate the bathrooms. And these are things and areas that students have informed us are important to them in renovation projects. And Gamert Starter had already had a renovation of the lobby, as well as an addition of the kitchen. So when that comes back online, fall of 23, that is going to be an amazing experience for our students, still at a non-renovation price point. And so that's one example of a project that we have invested into. Bryan Hall, there's going to be a similar project. However, where we are at with the enrollment management strategy and our commitment to accommodate a first and second year students on campus, opposed to taking Bryan Hall offline for similar investments, we are going to be able to accomplish that over the course of 2 consecutive summers. Do we have any Margaret Boyd scholars in the room? So you will be able to maintain continuity in that building and will not be impacted in your living experience. So we're excited about that as well. Washington, any Ohio honors, HTC students? So we've had some incremental renovations occurring in Washington. This upcoming summer, Washington will have the windows removed with new windows replaced, even though they are on the central HVAC system. That is just one additional investment. That's part of a 6-year CIP. Sargent and Trudley, anybody ever lived in Sargent and Trudley? They're getting some amazing lobby renovations, because once again, students have informed us that as we invest into our facilities, even though we might not be able to do so at the large scale of a major capital renovation, bathrooms and lobbies are high impact areas where students engage. And so Sargent and Trudy will be receiving a renovation, lobby renovation, and then Boyd, first floor. Over on the east wing, we have Jefferson East End, a green-based engagement experience location. We have the Living Learning Center on the south green. That is a south green, green-based engagement center. And we do not have that same opportunity over on the west green. So we will be removing about 7 living spaces, living rooms, and converting that entire first floor into a west green engagement space. So we're really excited about the renderings that we have seen. Happy to share those with you all. The architect is redesigning based on some of our recommendations, but that was just an example of how we invest into our students' and their experience through a 6-year schedule process. Now, when we talk about the engagement centers, Jefferson Center, Living Learning Center, the Future Boyd, the Paw Print Park, which we have kind of named the Paw Print Park, the Hammock Park, and the engagement space. There is the opportunity for you all to reserve that space, and we will make sure that you have the access to how to reserve those spaces should you want to take advantage of that as an opportunity. Right now, we're working on some marketing materials and outlining those details, but we're happy to share that with you as well. And that leads us to a housing master plan process. Having been here for 31 years, I've seen an evolution of how we have invested into our students, their experience, through the investment of physical structures, both academic, co-curricular, development of campus rec. My student center is where Skinner currently is, but more importantly, our residential experience. And this is really an exciting time for us here at Oakland University, because for me, this demonstrates our commitment to invest into our current students and our future students. So as we were preparing to invest into the housing master planning process, there are core principles, and I want you to flip to my page. There are core principles that help guide us when we are engaging our consultants with how we move forward with housing master planning process. So the scope and planning approach is one. We wanted to ensure that we were right-sizing our inventory to the context of projected enrollment and student demand. We all know that we here at Ohio University, we have a 2-year residency requirement. Students are required to stay on campus their first and their second year. And research would demonstrate that students that do so have a more positive transition, are connected to the appropriate resources, are more heavily engaged and involved in the halls and across campus, academically are performing better, and we all know that that contributes toward persistence and degree attainment. And so that is core to Ohio University and our residential experience, but it's one of the planning principles that we discuss and emphasize during this planning process. 2 is about recommendations for long-term capital reinvestment strategies. So how do we reinvest back into the student's residential experience through a combination of new construction, major renovation, and these minor renovations that have an impact? Because we have started a housing master planning process, what we anticipated would be the future of our 6-year capital improvement plan has temporarily been paused because there are recommendations how we might move forward with creating the best impact for a variety of reasons as we advance the housing master planning process. So we're excited about that as well. We want to balance the student experience, facility quality, and amenities across all of our residential facilities. So in this process, what we have learned is that we have living space where students live and sleep, but we also have out-of-the-unit spaces. And there's a lot of disparity of those out-of-the-unit spaces. So as an example, Jefferson, a beautiful, beautiful renovation. And intentionally by design, we reduced the amount of students that could reside in that facility because we wanted to increase the amount of out-of-the-unit student engagement spaces that are so important for our students, how they connect, how they engage, how our teams program in those meaningful ways that have that impact that we want to have. There's a lot of disparity. So how can we ensure that as we move forward with this housing master planning process, that we are addressing the quality and the amenities and offering similar experiences among all of our halls? And then it was very important that we engage a variety of campus constituents and facilitate support for this plan. So our completed steps. This process started back in February. We engaged Aaron St. Rose and Rails for the Dunlevy. These are two consultants that had very specific roles for going out and completing a set of analysis that would help inform and shape the recommendations that we had been presenting to the Board of Trustees. And so the three analysis are market analysis. So how does on-campus options compare competitively with our off-campus market? 2, the market analysis, how do our residential experiences and portfolio compare in states with our competitors and either put us at a competitive advantage or a competitive disadvantage? The physical analysis, the consultants were on campus and they did an in-depth analysis of all of our residential experiences to identify our hall configurations, the room types that we have, those out-of-the-unit spaces, deferred maintenance, renovations that have already occurred, the impact of that renovation, and how we might be able to move forward recommending how we invest into the overall experience for our students. So there has been a series of presentations and iterations of the plan that has already been presented to the Board of Trustees April, June, and August. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more in detail about what was presented, those presentations are on the Board of Trustees website. Feel free to take a look, and it will give you some good information, the detailed information about recommendations in the moment based on the analysis in which have been conducted. As mentioned, it was important for us to engage our key partners. And our key partners, first and foremost, are students and parents. So in spring semester, we conducted a survey. Brailsford and Dunlevy conducted a survey with our students on campus spring semester. Now, mind you, this is just coming off of COVID as well. But to engage them in on their satisfaction level with our facilities and our experience, and we got a lot of good data. We got a lot of good data that helps inform and shape how we might move forward. But interestingly, over on the east screen, the two buildings that scored the lowest, O'Brien Hall and Cameron Cellar, as far as conditions of facilities, and those two facilities were already on our 6-year capital improvement plan for investments into advancing and enhancing that residential experience. Enrollment management and undergraduate admissions, as mentioned, we want to ensure that we build the future to accommodate the requirement of our first and second year students who are required to stay on campus, but also support those third and fourth year students and graduate students who choose to stay on campus. We have housing and display key partners. Many thanks to Shauna Wolf, who is our university planner. She has been extremely instrumental with helping us to advance this housing master plan forward. Student affairs, this is exactly what we do. Facilities management, finance and administration, marketing and communication, diversity and inclusion, and our office of the provost. Those are all key stakeholders that were engaged in this process to ensure that as we make recommendations moving forward holistically, not only are we thinking about the students' residential experience, but we're also thinking about the students' campus experience. Okay. I'm still good with time. Almost done. Yep. So based on our research, there were some emerging things. Competitiveness. We wanted to ensure we move forward and investments in Ohio's residential experience were necessary to meet the overarching enrollment expectations of students and families and to maintain market competitiveness relevant to recruitment of new graduate students. Very important. 2 is capacity. As mentioned, first and second year students required to stay on campus. We want to ensure that we build elasticity in a housing master plan to allow for any type of growth above and beyond the steady state that is outlined and identified by undergraduate admissions and enrollment management as a target for our first year students. And then also to allow those first or the third and fourth years to stay on campus. But also we want to ensure that we are diversifying the residential experience by considering new design facilities that help support students where they are at today after COVID, transition back to campus, perhaps even different needs that we may not have had a few years ago. And so a lot of thought and intention goes into this proximity. I think that we would all agree that our residential experience, one of the assets is that the core residential experience is on a college campus, directly integrated with academic programs, access to campus facilities as well, culinary programs, campus rec, outdoor pursuits, all those things that matter to our students in that experience. And it also kind of amplifies this whole concept of a neighborhood feel that we know positively contributes towards students in their comfort, in their connection, in their contribution. Affordability is critically important for us, and as we move forward, we have a financial funding model to ensure that we can sustain building for the future, but more importantly, to maintain affordability on behalf of our students. That was important in this planning process as well. And then well-being, student residential experience, we measure inclusivity, well-being, and accessibility, connectivity to outdoor spaces, culinary venues, recreational facilities, campus presence education, which is critical to classroom student engagement and belonging. Next steps. Final recommendation to the Board of Trustees, October 20th. So even though I might not be able to unveil the final details of the recommendations, it's pretty exciting. And so I would encourage you all to attend. I don't think that it's a virtual. I think it is all in person, but it's a great opportunity to hear the final recommendations and what this can mean to our students and their experience. But I'm more than happy to come back and share what this might mean for our students after the Board of Trustees have been provided with the final recommendation. But then the next steps, there's a plan as mentioned. The plan involves a variety of new construction, major renovations, minor renovations, some demolition. But with each and every phase of that housing master plan process, we will go back to the Board of Trustees to initiate the process and start conversations with envisioning what that means for our students. And that's where we personally invite you all that are interested to be part of this conversation. Because even though we know that new construction is part of this housing master plan, we want to ensure that we are moving to the future and meeting the needs of our students. With some demolitions, we know that we will lose 400 out of 800 of our single spaces. What we also know is that we have an increasing number of students who are seeking singles for a variety of reasons. And so it's going to be important that we consider any capital construction that will enhance and increase the number of singles that we have. Important, but that is just one factor of what we would consider as we're envisioning how we can build for the future, and you all play a critical role in that as well. Okay, so did we do okay?
Yes, you did. Great.
So I'm going to invite my colleagues up once again to engage in with any questions that you might have. So we'll open it up to you.
Wait for me to address you, but please raise your hands for questions. Go ahead, Owen.
I just have a recommendation. Me and my friends have been going to the Hammond Park using it a lot. The only issue is there's no traction on the poles whatsoever.
Mhm.
So if you're like swinging the slightest bit, you start sliding down and then you end up on the ground. So if there's any way you can add like, I don't know, sandpaper or something to add traction,
Yes.
that would be great.
Thank you so much for that recommendation. And we knew that there's going to need to be some enhancements. So we're hearing, in order to maximize utilization, especially when the weather starts turning cold, can we look at outdoor heating units? But what we're going to do, and if you would love to participate, we'd love to have you part of that conversation, is we have some of our staff members that will be reaching out, not only to our staff, to identify how we might move forward with being intentional with large-scale programming in that space, but from a student utilization, what the need is. So thank you so much for that recommendation, and if there's additional.
Well, I love to do my homework in Natick. If there could be like outlets and the lights that are sitting between,
Okay.
that'd be awesome. Anyways, I love it regardless. The floor is squishy. I love it.
I know I've heard some concerns about the Ballpark plat from individuals who feel it doesn't really fit campus vibe. It almost looks more urban than it does, feel of Akron. Is there a plan to put green space, trees, anything around that park to make it feel a little more like Akron?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that we do is when people bring it, so it's really, really important to understand. So, through the demolition of Brown Hall, it was a perfect platform to create a meeting space without removing trees or things that are important as well. So the answer is yes. So this is just phase one, and there is the intention to engage stakeholders in regards to future enhancements of that space. But there's a lot of concepts, conceptual design, and intentionality that went into the design of that space. And so we know there's some iconic pieces on our college campus that really resonate with the students in that time. So right now, there is the tower, the clock tower with the weather vane. At one point, kind of Richard came in and it knocked down that weather vane, and it was like a scavenger hunt when we had our students in our community trying to find that, but it was very important. So from an aerial view, there's raining associated with the classrooms, and it will represent the golf track along the cross campus. And there's other good things that's why we wanted to choose the golf hall. But we also want to ensure that it is integrated in that space in such a way that makes sense. So there's future visions, but there's also intentionality with how can we kind of get back to rebranding South Green, and engaging all the South Green in the space that creates that sense of community that exists over on East and West. So yes, and if you have ideas, we'd love to make a clear world for us in regards to how we enhance that area's public space.
Good.
Great. Apologies if you've already disclosed this information. It's been brought to my attention that Ohio University has reserved the 36th building of River Park for the upcoming year, and I'm just curious what the plan is.
So I will share with you that we are currently in partnership with River Park, and I jumped in there, I engaged my colleagues so that they could also share information. We are currently in partnership with River Park, and we have pulled in 120 spaces into our existing inventory to support the increased demand, the more than the steady state of first-year students who have chosen to join this Bobcat community. So when we look at forecasting next year, we know that because we have 44, 41 first-year students, the retention of a certain percentage is going to be higher than what it's been in years past. So if we anticipate that we are going to receive the steady state and the stable state of the number that admissions is targeting, we will have GAM back online. We will have Brian in our inventory because we're choosing not to take it offline during the academic school year for those major investments that we can accomplish during the course of 2 summers. But because we are committed to that first and second year experience, we went out with an RFP inviting all local landlords with multi-unit venues to be considered as part of an extension of our residential experience, which we will still provide that community-based support that we know is still critically important for our second year students. So to answer your question, we have a plan, but we're still in that RFP process that we cannot disclose where that might be. But we know that the word gets around and information is students are talking about, and I think that River Park could be one of those options, but we have also invited others to be considered. And as soon as Jonna gets permission through our procurement office to share broadly, we will make sure that we share it as well.
Thank you.
I stay in 36, that's all. I started notice.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I should be gone by then, but I was just curious.
Commissioner Lewis.
So, moving from students to RAs, there across many departments has been, because of inflation, there's been increasing minimum wages. The biggest one coming through culinary, where they increased their minimum wage by $1 an hour. Is there going to be that type of similar action happening for residents' life, because it's becoming increasingly harder for an RA to be able to survive off of your number?
Well, I will invite Jen and Jonna to share, but when we look holistically at all of our student staff leaders, we have hourly staff members, so our housing ambassadors, our student service ambassadors, our marketing, communication team, graphic designers, or office assistants, they are all hourly. And then we have resident assistants, SRAs, that receive a stipend, but then they also receive a non-qualified scholarship of a room that is evaluated at a certain price point that the students that come in are not responsible for. And so to answer your question directly, we know that there will be an increase in minimum wage effective January, and there will be a plan to evaluate what that means to our hourly staff. But Jonathan shared that we also have already elevated their starting salary above the minimum wage, and then we give longevity bonuses as well. And then again, we're trying to complete some assessment with our peers to ensure that we are compensating fairly and equitably, but then also through the initiation of a retention bonus for our student staff. And that is something that again, we advocated for, and we're happy to extend to our staff this year. But I don't know. I answer, then I invite them to just share. But anything that I may have missed.
We do this at next meeting, only to make sure that we're remaining competitive with our peers across the state. You can't always compare job to job, because some of the jobs are different. We really want to be competitive.
Well, speaking of those bonuses, for the most part, are those bonuses still, because I know for Halloween, there's a $100 bonus for all the VRAs who are working. I don't know if that's still. I know that was last year. I was an RA last year, so I'm familiar with the system. So are those bonuses but are those bonuses, is that all Bob cash or?
So it's two different things. So for Halloween, it's not really, we don't do it as a compensation bonus, it's a thank you. And it's always been delivered as a thank you for this, the extra staff, but because those hours are already come in part of the cycle hours. So we have longevity, late, but we look at the course of the year, so that's good. But it's a thank you because we know it's an extra time. We give them $100 off in cash if they work both nights, or 50 if they work certain. The retention bonus is very different. It's an actual dollar amount bonus that they get in September. So for every year they return, it starts with a $200 bonus for coming back after working at some point during the previous academic year. So it's not based on a 1 year specific anniversary. If you come to us in the beginning of spring, you'll get the bonus all as well for applying to return to the position. So year one is 200, and then it increases position. Same with SRA, so that's our next level position where there is a stipend increase altogether. It's going to be a stipend increase for the different work, but that bonus also carries over.
And we were intentional with administering that retention bonus, one, by truly recognizing the level of commitment to our staff that have committed to us and our students, right? So we wanted to really represent what this means for us. But two, we have students, and we recognize that at times there's financial struggles to, at times, even my books at the beginning of the semester. So even though that retention bonus for the budget, we divide it amongst all the periods, we wanted to demonstrate the impact and ensure that students had all of the 200 or increments above and beyond in a one lump sum to help accommodate specifically for those students who have some financial barriers that would prevent them from getting books, that would put them at a so we heard students, and these are the type of decisions that we have made internally as students are advocating on behalf of themselves and their experiences. But thank you for asking that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My question was, with the upcoming renovations, are there any plans to increase accessibility for disabled students? I personally have a tissue disorder, and it caused me to break things very easily, and so I broke my foot earlier this year, and while they were very nice about it, I was essentially told I was out of luck on accessibility help, because I live on the 4th floor of my building, and basically have to call their way out.
Yeah.
So working on accessibility is something really important in general, and I was wondering if there are plans for that.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that question. In my previous position, John's role, I had a strong partnership with the students, the Office of Student Services, and we wanted to ensure that we were creating space for all of our students, for those that came to us, with varied abilities, or even having a plan to help accommodate students who found themselves in unfortunate circumstances. The bricks, they allow for a lot of slips, falls as you get under any type of circumstance. So we're sorry that you had that experience, because we do have a dedicated team to offer even temporary short-term accommodations to allow for students who have injuries to get through the recovery period, recognizing that those students want to go back into the space that they've been expected into. But Ohio University has done a really great job of ensuring that we are creating experiences, investing into our physical structures through the lens of accessibility as well. And I always challenge the team to not only think through making sure that we are meeting accessibility needs through compliance standards, but also being friendly in our daily needs in their examples. So there's simple things that we have done really to support students who have a variety of abilities to help them be successful in their living experience. And we know that there are those students, once again, who even though their known barrier does not require a single, because of sensitivity, students are seeking out those singles. So one of the things that we did 2 years ago is we advocated to the Board of Trustees that we reevaluate our rate structures for non-renovated singles to reduce that price point for those students who had a need or a desire for a single but could not afford that elevated single price point. And it could be that they come from a low SES background that they didn't have the financial means to pay for, and when we're coming with a very ability that required accommodation, not necessarily a single, but the desire to have a single, and we wanted to ensure that we did not utilize an elevated price point as a result of having a desire for that single. So once again, we're not experts in all things, and we are always happy to engage with our students to know how we can do better. How we can do better, and that is our commitment. So we make mistakes, but we fail forward.
Specifically with that situation, I would love to connect with you to talk about your experience at a different time. So I'll grab your email or something on our way out.
We have one more question left.
So I had a question related to the Bobcat cash that we discussed for Halloween. Would it be possible to make that into transfer to the RAs on the actual paycheck instead of via Bobcat cash? Well, I haven't been an RA myself. I remember some of my friends complaining last year that it was very frustrating for them because that money was tied to the school. And since it was still counted as income, they eventually had to pay taxes on the next paycheck, so it actually felt like it hindered them. So do you think housing investments line can be amendable, just adding it directly on the paycheck? Or what's the viewpoint?
I would say from a tax perspective, students are still taxed regardless if it's not that cash or if it's directly compensated through their paycheck. So the tax implications are universally applied regardless of how we provide that. I hear your question. I don't have the best answer just yet, but what I would like to do is engage others. And once again, this is just a recognition that it is not different work. So we're not changing hours. We're not changing expectations. We're just asking for everybody to be present to help support our students and their guests who come to our university for this City of Athens event. And so it's not necessarily considered compensation. Can it be? I think that would be more conversation. But we will regularly also resource our staff in the moment that are impacted by this decision to ensure that we are making the best decision for the majority in a way that makes sense. So always open for conversation. Thank you for raising that question, but we will think strategically, won't be this year, in all transparency, but as we move forward, it's an opportunity to consider the thank you for showing up on Halloween and the value that you are adding to housing as a sector doing so, if we can convert from multi-cash to compensation on it.
That was going to be our last one, but it was kind of similar to a previous question, so one more.
I've spoken to several students here, and they've said that they've experienced like really bad mold in some of their dorms and like some sort of mold covering walls and things like that. I spoke to already said that he's contacted maintenance and they will only get like a spot of the mold off and the mold will continue. They want to completely get everything off. So is the university doing anything to combat this because no one should be
Thank
living
you for that question. That's a good question. So what I will share with you is that mold exists in every structure, in every institution, in every home. But what I feel at Ohio University that we do a good job of, one, is educating students in regards to physical conditions, environmental conditions within their space, and how to identify and how to remedy in a way, and not just mold, but we know that every once in a while we have predators that get into our facilities because students leave a window open. There are times in which we know that there are roommate conflicts, and we wanted to create some resources that best help students support them in navigating those environmental conditions and behavioral conditions within their space that might be impacting their residential experience. So we have a variety of communication strategies, starting when students step foot on campus. We give students and parents a resource folder that outlines the what-ifs and the how-tos and the resources available to readily address. On the back of each and every one of the students' doors, we have an adhesive that gives good information, how to connect based on emergency, how to connect to facilities. It does directly address if you believe that you have mold growth within your space, the process for having it addressed. And then we also put stickers on each and every one of the AC units and the HVAC units, asking students to keep their temperatures at a certain level. Because we know if students don't maintain that consistent AC temperature within their space, I am that person that loves to run my heating unit when it's 90 degrees outside, but if the gen next door loves it super cold, that heat and cold temperature creates condensation, which we know can contribute towards mold growth. We have, and I'm pointing to John, we have a variety of communication and outreach strategies just to remind students of tips and tricks for minimizing mold growth within the space. However, when it is suspected, all students have to do is call facilities management, reach 911, and we have a very escalated, prioritized response for addressing any student who has concerns about mold within their space. So they will come, they will assess, they will evaluate. If students believe that it's in their AC unit, regardless if it is or not, we're going to pull that AC unit out as a precaution and put a new one in, one that is either brand new or has been cleaned. We also have, and then facilities will come in and they'll clean the space. And if we do find mold and it's reoccurring or perhaps it's excessive, we will resource our environmental health and safety experts to come in and conduct air quality control tests to ensure that there's no concerns within the space. And more often than not, every once in a while, we might find an outlier, but more often than not, if the external mold count spores are higher than inside, it's typically not a concern, but we know that it can create sensitivities, especially for students who have chronic asthma or immunocompromised and immunity response. Students can always request a change when we offer that. More often than not, they don't need to manage of it. But we also are looking at preventive strategies. So during the course of summertime, we contracted with a contractor who came in and cleaned each and every one of our window air conditioning units to prevent any type of mold growth within that space. We will go in and we will clean with a solution called Blue Tab. It's a mold inhibitive cleaning solution that should minimize mold growth in the space. And then we also clean the spaces with mold prohibitive paint. Other large-scale strategies, when we talked about brine and we talked about damage failure and converting from 2-pipe to 4-pipe, that is a strategy to help minimize mold growth within those spaces. So we have a plan. Just know that it is not unique to Ohio University, that there are times in which our teams will go in and they will see that speck that students think are mold, and it's not. We will clean that space anyways, because we want to ensure that students feel comfortable within their space, and we will never ask the student to live in the space that's not. So we are here to respond, we're here to educate, and if you'll hear that students aren't being responded to, what we find more often than not is there's not a work order, which means that they either did not process the work order themselves or did not personally reach out to facilities management. Because in my experiences, when facilities know, same day, Typically within a matter of an hour or two, they're on site evaluating and assessing what needed, and then responding with the team who needed. But thank you for that question. It's important.
One thing to add to that question too, it goes above, well, like when we see it, we start to change our policies and procedures too. So like as, we can only prepare for so much, but as we follow the role increase in certain areas, to believe what's going on. Facilities like we have 20% in coverage, here's our new policy and our new plan. So I think what the nice thing is we're working towards like, we don't just like, let's start it up, like we continue to upgrade and actually need the students so that like we can figure out what's going on, so the students are happy. And safe.
Thank you so much, Housing Residence Live.
Thank you.
Will the Chief of Staff please call roll?
President Shoulders,
Present.
Vice President Cooley,
Present.
Treasurer Robinson,
Present.
Senator Zanatelli,
Present.
Senator Diggins, Senator Phelps, Senator McCarty, Senator Thomas, Commissioner Bargainer, Senator Bridgman, Senator McMullen, Commissioner Hibbs,
Present.
Commissioner Gordillo,
Present.
Senator Lopez, Commissioner Gillette, Senator Vacasia,
Present.
Commissioner Peters, Senator Wellington, proxy, Commissioner Arambula, Commissioner Zarbal, Senator Freed, Commissioner Lewis,
Present.
Senator Tandon, Senator Davis,
Present.
Commissioner Handel, Senator Spinner Smith, Senator Huntsman, Commissioner Ajay, Senator Klass, Open Court Siler, we have four.
Thank you. All right, moving on to approval of the previous meeting minutes. Is there any discussion on the previous meeting minutes? Are there any objections to approving the previous meeting minutes? All right, seeing none, minutes are approved. All right, there are no additions to the agenda tonight. Old business, there is none. Okay, new business. First up, we have Senate Resolution 2223-45, a resolution to purchase supplies for the Rusk College Welcome Week. Whereas the Ohio University Student Senate Rules and Procedures requires there to be a committee on the budget, and whereas the Committee on the Budget met with quorum to discuss the Ohio University Student Senate budget, and whereas the committee approved the budget below, and so be it resolved that the Ohio University Student Senate confirms the requested budget amount below, and it's above on the screen as well. 64 live succulent plants, $82.97, one quantity. Potting soil, 2 bag count, 16 quart total, $13.17. 32 2-inch terracotta pots, $13.99, for a total of $27.98. And 150 insomnia cookies, which equals $235. And the total price is $359.12. Primary sponsor, Mr. Brady Phelps.
Yeah, this seems like a cool event, and it was documented well when all that discussed and decided that it would be a benefit to the institution and everyone's representatives or constituents. Yeah, I reserve the balance of my time.
Secondary sponsor, Ms. Emily McCarty.
Yeah,
so I am the Rusk College Senator, and I'm planning a wellness week, like a week of wellness events, basically. So Monday through Friday, there will be events. Just to put it out there, I found funding for the other 3 events, so I was putting in effort to utilize funds from other engineering, like groups who were interested in helping co-sponsor and help with the events. And the 2 that I did get funding for were Planting Healthy Roots, where basically it's supposed to be really good for your mental health to take care of the plant. So we thought that doing an event like that would be really cool, and it's actually the event that's shown the most interest out of everything. And then the other one is the meet, greet, and treat. So we're going to have 4 tables set up in the atrium. That's where all of the engineering students go through every single day. It's like the main room. And they're going to have like CPS, the Bandana Project, SAP, and the National Mental Health Alliance there. So there will be a lot of things going on that day, and I figured like 150 people will probably at least stop by and talk about the mental health. So yeah, it was really fun.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Great job, Senator. It has been moved and seconded to vote on Senate Resolution 2223-45. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? No abstentions. Resolution passes. Moving on, Senate Resolution 2223-46, a resolution to appoint a University Life Senator for Athletics. Whereas there is a student senate at Ohio University, and whereas the rules and procedures state that there shall be a University Life Senator for Athletics and the University Life Commission, and whereas there is currently a vacancy in the University Life Senator for Athletics position, and whereas applications were solicited and interviews conducted, be it resolved that Reagan Farmer be appointed as the University Life Senator for Athletics for the 2022-2023 academic year, and be it further resolved that this appointment be effective immediately following the adjournment of this meeting. Primary sponsor, Mr. Caleb Keachel.
All right, well, I had the pleasure of being able to interview Reagan, who was able to join us today. We all felt, Dan and I, felt that she was a really good fit for the team. She brings in a lot of skills that can be really helpful. She's already a member of SAC, so she'll help provide us that kind of perspective. And as the athletic division has been fully for quite some time, even before COVID, it'll help diversify our commission, help bring in new inputs from, frankly, something I can't truly begin to represent. So I really appreciate that she'll be able to bring those skills to the commission. Reserve now.
Thank you. Primary sponsor, Ms. Dana Shoulders. I'm very excited for this appointment, and I would be very glad if Reagan were to join our Senate. I'm very excited for student athletes on our campus to have great representation, and especially Reagan being a walk-on for our softball team. She understands the commitment it takes to be a student athlete, and I'm really excited for that as well. I reserve the balance of my time. Is there any discussion on this resolution?
I would also just like to mention that I'm very excited about this appointment. If it goes through, I really hope it does, because this is an area that I am not very familiar with. So having someone who is an athlete and is able to really understand the athlete experience on campus is going to be really nice to have on our commission. And overall, I'm very, very happy that someone's able to get this position.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to vote on Senate Resolution 2223-46. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? It has been moved and resolution passes. Senate Resolution 2223-47, a resolution to appoint an associate justice to the judicial panel, whereas there is a judicial panel with the student senate, and whereas the rules and procedure states that there shall be 7 associate justices serving on the judicial panel, and whereas there is currently a vacancy in associate justice position, and whereas applications were solicited and interviews conducted, be it resolved that Jalen Tolbert be appointed as Justice on the judicial panel for the 2022-2023 academic year, and be it further resolved that this appointment be effective immediately following the adjournment of this meeting. Primary sponsor, Mix Soren Starkley.
I'm going to read Soren sponsorship. So I'm going to use I statement, not me, Soren. I've had the privilege of working with Jalen and multiple other organizations, and after interviewing him and reviewing his application, I have full confidence that he is the type of person that will ensure the future of the judicial panel is one that improves the Senate in all capacities. He is extremely reliable and has great critical thinking skills and can fair decisions without his judgment being clouded by outside influence. In his interview, he shared with Nate and I both his past involvement in student government while in high school, but also has genuine interest in judicial procedures and his future career. I know he will have the Senate's best interest in mind and can't wait to see what he does on the panel. And Soren, can't be praised right now, deserves the balance of his time.
Secondary sponsor, Mix Nathaniel Padilla.
Sorry, everybody. Okay. Jalen wants to have a positive impact on the school, and I think he would definitely be able to do that with his role. He believes that you need to stay level-headed, to listen and understand effectively, and he proved that in his interview. He wants to leave OU having a better, stronger culture than what it is now, and I believe he can do that with his role. Also, I'm super excited to hopefully have an associate justice finally, because we've been waiting for so long. But I believe with a strong teamwork aspect, Jalen will do amazing, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Thank you. Is there any additional discussion on this resolution? Yes.
Sorry, I just want to say I know Jalen personally, and he is very diligent, and he's also an amazing ambassador for the Scripps College. So this is an extraordinary addition to the judicial family. They're very bouncing. Thank you. Second.
It has been moved and seconded to vote on Senate Resolution 22-2347. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? None. Resolution passes. Senate Bill 2223-02, a bill to support a policy change to make an excused absence on Election Day. Whereas there is a student senate at Ohio University, and whereas it serves to represent the student body, and whereas as citizens of the United States of America, it is our civic duty to go out and vote, and whereas Ohio University actively encourages the act of voting in local, state, and federal elections, and whereas only 53% of young voters turned out in the 2020 election, and whereas in recent years, voter turnout has been incredibly low, and in off-year elections like the mayoral and city council elections, student voter turnout is even lower, and whereas Student Senate has always supported the right to vote and the empowerment of the student body through election of the representatives, and whereas Ohio University continues to support the diversity of thought, opinion, and respect, and whereas by voting, we are using the voice that so many have fought for, and whereas voting allows us to enact change in our community, it says in out community and country, and whereas the election day is vital to the procuring results within the American electoral process, and whereas Election Day is not a holiday recognized at the federal, state, local, or university level, and whereas many students of Ohio University are registered to vote in the city of Athens, Ohio, and whereas these students are caught in conflict of obligation between the academic duty of going to class and the civic duty of going to vote, and whereas the students, faculty, and staff of Ohio University deserve the right to actively participate in the electoral process, and whereas university students can be a pool of able-bodied and educated people who wish to volunteer as poll workers, whether it be in their local electoral district or in Athens, and whereas proof of service as a poll worker should be an acceptable excuse for an absence from classes on elections days, and whereas education helps to better the future, our votes decide it, be it resolved that the Student Senate demands Ohio University Executive Vice President and Provost Elizabeth Sayers, Ohio University President Hugh Sherman, and the Ohio University Board of Trustees include going to vote and service as a poll worker on election day be a university-approved absence. Be it further resolved that a copy of this bill be sent to the Ohio University Board of Trustees, Student trustee Mia Centino, student trustee Sarah Lapido, faculty senate, graduate senate, Ohio University President Hugh Sherman, United States Senator Sherrod Brown, United States Senator Rob Portman, United States Representative Mike Carey, Ohio Representative Bill Johnson, Ohio Representative Jay Edwards, and Ohio University Executive Vice President and Provost Elizabeth Sayers. Primary sponsor, Mr. Daniel M. Gordillo.
I believe it is well within everyone's vested interest to get people to vote. Voting yes on this bill helps the cause to give student voters more accessibility when it comes to voting, which is a fight that takes place on multiple fronts. The Graduate Senate has done something similar already, but we can propel this to the next step if we pass this bill tonight. I've been in contact with multiple people concerning this bill and excuse absences for general election day. Moreover, this is a national debate. The wider debate is whether or not to make Election Day a national holiday. And with the passing of this bill, we are at the forefront of the debate, a place where universities like to be at. It is also important for the Student Senate to move to protect students who wish to participate in normal civic activities. And this bill does exactly that. It even goes a step further to protect those who wish to engage deeper in those activities. In this case, that'd be poll workers. Overall, I don't see a way this harms student body at all, and therefore argue it should be passed. I reserve the balance of my time.
Thank you. Secondary sponsor, Ms. Lavina Cooley.
Voting is fundamentally an access issue. It is an equity issue. Who are the people who have access to go and vote? Oftentimes, the same racial disparities we see, the same ability disparities we see, they're all reflected in the voting. Doing this allows students who are often underrepresented in those votes to be able to go and vote. It allows them to get out of classes because oftentimes there is only one election day. While Ohio is an early voting state, so folks can go early, they still have classes, they still have work obligations, things like that that they must attend. And being able to have this count as an excused absence would allow students to be able to go out and vote, to have a say in what the local elections are going on, or the state elections, the federal elections, being able to have a voice in our electoral process that we have in America. I think this bill helps to kind of alleviate those access issues. It helps to solve the shortage of poll workers that we have all across the country. Athens is no stranger to that shortage either. And with that, I reserve the balance of my time.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
I actually have something really quick to say. As a vice commissioner, I'm unable to publicly vote yes on this bill, but I feel like this is such an important issue that I should at least verbally approve of this bill. I believe that this is a very big stepping stone to being able to allow for equity into the voting process. And hopefully, while I understand that this is a big task, maybe this will leave the door open to potentially allowing for it to be completely off day for students in the university. As while there may be an excused absence, work can still be assigned, and therefore equity will still be questioned. But overall, I think this is an amazing bill, and while I'm not publicly able to vote yes, I'd just like to extend my support for this time.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Yes.
Am I allowed to friendly amend my own bill?
Yes.
I move to friendly amend line 16 to change out community to our community.
Thank you for that. Senator Commissioner Lewis.
I would also like to encourage the Governmental Affairs Commission to not let this be the stopping point, and I don't in any way think that it would be, but to keep looking at more ways of bringing equity when it comes to voting. This is like an amazing first step. I think there are a lot of ways that this can be progressed if dealt with properly. So I encourage this to be the first step and not the last step.
Any further discussion? It has been moved and seconded to vote on Senate Bill 2223-02. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, oh my gosh. All those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Senate Bill 2223-02 passes. On to commission reports.
So there's that. So also approval. Atmosphere. Very, So governmental affairs been up to a lot. So I have a pretty good outline of what what my commission's voter guide is going to look like. With Ruben, met with my intern. We're looking really stellar on that. We're also looking to find dates, volunteers, and places to table for information distribution, which would be mostly these guides. I also gave out an outline about what a potential guide could look like as a way to give some inspiration for those who want to participate in this Senate-wide project. Moreover, moving to the bill that we had just thankfully passed, I met with Chad to talk about the bill. He gave me a lot of ideas about how to continue this forward. This is not the last step. This is just a stepping ground. So I also met with Dr. Wyatt of Faculty Senate this afternoon during my Senate office hours. And we are working to get ways in order to make 2024 a university holiday. It will not happen this election. Unfortunately, we're just too close to the deadline. Excuse absences, it's looking iffy, but with our resolution, it's a stepping stone in order to get to 2024, which is, in my opinion, still a victory. On top of that, too, I'm also making arrangements with Mayor Patterson in order to get a statement of approval for our costs. And I reserve the balance of my time.
Thank you.
The Hispanic Heritage Month class is going to be available at the top of Baker October 20th. So it's a few days past the end of Hispanic Heritage Month. But if you'd like to encourage all of your Latino friends or Hispanic friends to come pick up a free flag to show their pride, definitely do that. We're going to be there from 2 to 5, Thursday, October 20th. I got the PR request approved, so I should be getting the flyer eventually and get the flags ordered and everything organized there. I have been in contact with Janine, planning more stuff with the family dinners and talking to culinary. She had a meeting with them last week, last Friday, I believe, about organizing cultural dinners, and they seemed pretty excited about it. I met with my vice commissioner, so excited to work with Alex. She seems great. And I will be staying in contact with her soon. Just got rescheduled to quickly.
Thank you.
I'm putting together a survey with questions regarding the residents and RAs and their experiences in homes this year, like what they would change, what programs they want to see, and housing. Just agreed to put that survey up in all the dorms. So I just have to send that to PR so I can get it all printed out. And then also I'm going to meet with Joanna, who's here today, to discuss the selection for next year.
Thank you.
Not a whole lot new. We have established a place for the Athens Farmers Market to be held on campus at Howard Hall on either the 20th or 27th. And we're also continuing to work on a voter guide, and we made progress in terms of representing environmental issues for some important Ohio national elections, namely the race between Tim Ryan and J.D. Vance.
And where is Howard Hall? Yeah.
Point of information, it is located, so like College Green is here and Schoonover is here. It's like at that kitty corner, like right next to Boyd College.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, also don't have a whole lot of new stuff. We're still working on the pumpkin carving event and our Smart Girls Guide to Voting, among other things. Last Friday, our commission meeting got pushed because I was getting mental health first aid certified from 9 to 4:30. But that certification lasts for 3 years, so that's pretty cool. I feel like I can help my constituents out more now that way. So we're looking forward to getting back on track this week. I haven't heard anything from Dr. Fowler regarding Love Yourself Week, so we're just going to go ahead and start reaching out to all the university teams that were a part of it last year, seeing if they want to do it this year, and then pushing back the date because there's no way it's possible to have it by November 1st.
Okay.
There's just, I think there were like 9 or 10 different university groups, not including us, that worked together to put on the event last year. So it's just not possible for everyone to get all of their resources to put it on by then. And then upcoming, I'm also participating in the safety walk with other commissioners and executive staff, and I'm meeting with AmFlow people and President Shoulders to bring more of those resources to campus coming up as well. And that is it for my report.
Thank you.
Nothing, there's not too much new going on. Still working with the Department of Afternoon Studies. I did manage to start scheduling meetings with the current college party sciences team and the chair for the Department of Afternoon Studies. So that's pretty much it. Update on that project. And then tomorrow is our first commission meeting for our new commission with our new commission members. Hopefully that will go.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
So we are currently collecting responses on a survey that we've been working on. The flyers are still in the process of being put up. If you have the time and would like to, you can feel free also to fill that out. It should hopefully be going up on Instagram as well soon. We are also gauging interest from various LGBT affiliated organizations around campus for collaborations on various private events. Specifically, like the drag show, we've been working with
UPC.
UPC, yes. Sorry. As well as our various student organizations. The goal is to make sure, at the very minimum, our student orgs are involved and represented as much as possible in that. We are also beginning to discuss a possible event for Trans Day of Remembrance, which is November 20th. And Tuesday was National Coming Out Day, and I was pleasantly surprised by the turnout that the LGBT Center had at the event. It was a great way to make contact with students. And then
Finally, October is LGBT History Month, so if y'all have time around all the midterms and Halloween stuff, if you could consider dropping by the London Library and the LGBT Center and checking all that history collection, that would be fantastic. And that's it.
Thank you.
So I'm reporting on behalf of the Senate Appropriations Commission. So with homecoming weekend, there weren't too many budget requests, so there's not too much to report on that. However, the semesterly funding process is officially open and is due for student organizations November 11th at 5 p.m. Any submission submitted after that will not be reviewed. So if you're in a student organization or you know anybody who is going to be submitting the application, I'll be pressing it, but definitely remind them that nothing past that will be reviewed. There is a link to virtual appointments, Mondays 2 to 4 and Thursdays 1:30 to 3, for any questions regarding the funding process in itself. The link is on the application itself, which is also in Bobcat Connect. But if you know anybody who's struggling with that, has questions centered around it, or cannot find the application or the link itself, please direct them for right now to me. But that is the end.
Thank you. Any Senate committee reports?
I only have a brief report from leadership development. We're working on getting everyone's scheduling right now. So if you have not yet responded to my email, please do so ASAP. I'm going to be working to get a meeting scheduled next week so we can start discussing the things we need to discuss. That's the end of my report.
I don't have any for tonight, so there's that. But President's report. So hello everyone. I hope everyone is staying warm as the seasons change. I just have a very short report tonight, but I'm excited to say that Student Senate is hosting our very first safety walk. The purpose of this walk is to bring administrators and students together for a night walk around campus to identify areas in need of more or improved lighting to create a safer campus for us all. This is a multiple stop tour, including all of the university greens, and will highlight a few other safety concerns mentioned by students, such as crosswalks or areas where students have to cross streets. The people invited include certain administration, including President Sherman, Mark Heil, who's our interim vice president for finance and administration, Andrew Powers, our chief of university police, Troy Bonte, I believe, interim associate vice president facilities management, Dr. Salome Normelli, interim vice president of diversity of the Division of Diversity and Inclusion, and Robin Oliver, who is our vice president of university communications and marketing, including our amazing advisors, Kathy Fowl, our interim dean of students, and Chad Barnard, who's not here tonight, but our assistant dean of students, and Dr. Bill Schaefer, who's our interim vice president of student affairs. Commissioners who were invited have received an email with more information, so please look at the calendar invite and accept, decline if you can't make it. We'll be using that to make sure that we have enough for everybody. But this is very important as it will lead to hopefully a semesterly project that Student Senate does, because we all know that safety concerns are a top priority for all university student people. So it's our whole community, including visitors that come to our university. And I'm really excited for this project to be coming out of Senate. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you everyone for your participation in homecoming last week. It was so good to see you all outside of the office and Walter. We did have an amazing alumni turnout at the Brent, so I hope you all were able to learn a lot about Senate in the past and about the alumni and what they're doing now. And I hope you were able to make some valuable connections with that as well. Like I mentioned earlier, Senate committees are now underway, including the Leadership Development Committee. Student Trustee Committee will also be meeting in the next couple of weeks. So if you're on that committee, please check your email and be on the lookout for an email from me in the near future. I do want to remind everyone to make sure you're taking care of yourself. This can be a really hard point in the semester. And with that, this week's resource that I'm featuring is Hudson Campus Care, which is our student health center on campus. It's open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday during the semester. They do prefer you make an appointment, but same-day appointments are available for acute problems. I'm including a link to their website for more information on the specific things that they offer students, as well as their number to make an appointment and all of the other information there. And then with that, I also want to highlight an upcoming opportunity at Hudson that's happening this Friday, October 18th. Equitas Health will be at Hudson offering free HIV testing from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's really important to know your status and be an informed sexually active person. Normalizing HIV testing can help us destigmatize it, and you can even make a cute date of it with your partner or partners that you have. And that's the end of my report.
So I want to make a preface and start by saying that based on where we are at right now in Senate, I am more than proud to sit here every Wednesday with you individuals. And I'm proud of not only what we're doing, but where we're going and how strong we are as a Senate. So that's where I want to start. But I also encourage everyone to continue to brainstorm and acknowledge different opportunities to engage students, whether that be through social gatherings, awareness events, etc. But additionally, should there be any questions on ways to fund different events or the possibilities that the Senate is capable of, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. We can sit down at any point in time and kind of chit chat some of the different possibilities. So to discuss logistics and everything like that, but please do not hesitate to reach out to me. For budget application assistance, so if anybody needs assistance on filling out a budget application, but also the documents that are required for review, please also don't hesitate to reach out to me, or Senator and Budget Committee Chair Brady Phelps, or any individual on the Budget Committee is more than qualified to help you out with that as well. But the application can be found under Forms on Bobcat Connect, and it's labeled Budget Application, and then under that it should say Ohio University Student Senate. But if you have any troubles finding that form, please do reach out to us. A reminder that Budget Committee also meets bi-weekly on Mondays at 4:00 p.m. Any requests needs to be submitted 2 weeks before the event is taking place. I also have a financial literacy tip. So the university advertises a financial tool called Grad Ready that allows you to manage your personal finances with a variety of tools. But it also includes a budget worksheet, and it's free. It's free to use. You're not charged. So it's free, and it only takes like 2 minutes to set up. So if you go to the university website and you like search Grad Ready, everything should pop up. It should also pop up the information to access it, but also a video that'll show you how to work the website and everything like that. But yeah, with that, we can go to the numbers. So for the Senate total, we have $24,941.82. Allocated not spent, $6,932.43. Not allocated nor spent, $18,009.39. SAC total, $269,817.01. Spot, we have $256,251.29. And for U Fund, we have $13,565.72. And these numbers are true and accurate to the best of my knowledge. With that, that is the end of my report.
Hello, happy week 8, everyone. I know for a lot of us, myself included, it's been one of those weeks. So make sure that you're taking care of yourselves, make sure that you're taking care of your friends. If you haven't already had your midterms, or if you still have some coming up, I wish you all the luck in the world, and that continues through the end of the semester as well. Don't forget to send me your reports. A lot of you already have, but if you haven't yet, send me those. You can email me right now, and you're not going to offend me. Make sure you're continuing to clock your office hours. If you're having any issues with that, please be sure to let me know as soon as possible so that A, you're not getting points, and B, I can help you in any way that I can. If you need something printed out for your commission, flyers, anything with a QR code, any graphics that Carson has made for you, please send it through to the Senate email, and my intern will be printing it out for you and leaving it on the paper cutter beside the printer behind my desk. Also, for my final little thing, I encourage you all to try something new this week. Sometimes like that new coffee order or like trying a new local restaurant can be like the mood boost that you need. I tried a caramel macchiato for the first time and it was amazing. So sometimes just that little bit of something new can help kind of propel you to the end of the week. So I encourage you all to try something new. But with that, that is the end of my report.
Hey everyone, so our Ohio University Instagram didn't necessarily go as planned. It was not uploading, so that will be postponed through another day. Just be on the lookout for that. More information will be coming on the Slack. As always, PR requests, please submit them to the Bobcat Connect and/or send an email to senate.pr@ohio.edu. With that being said, the PR on our Instagram will be bumping within the next couple of weeks. So just make sure you check the Instagram for my minutes. That way you can stay up to date on university-wide events. Little shameless plug, I am getting pie tomorrow at Alumni Gateway from 10 to 11. So if you do want to put whipped cream on my face, go right ahead. It's for the Ronald McDonald House too, by the way. Lastly, please take time for yourself. It's halfway through the semester, and I know a lot of things can start to pile up, and midterms are coming up as well as just big assignments. Take at least like 30 minutes for yourself a day. It seems like a lot, but in the end, you will be thanking yourselves. You don't have a mental breakdown like in Baker or something like that. So just take care of yourselves, stay safe, and yeah, that's all I'm doing.
I have the initial panel report because our report is currently sick and our assistant report is also sick. So she just wanted me to tell y'all that the judicial panel is still accepting associate justice applications. We've been getting a lot more on a weekly basis, so keep on encouraging people to apply. The chief justice and executive justice will starting to be doing office hours soon. They just have to make legislation for that, and that should be hopefully be voting on next week. Election R&D changes are still underway, so if y'all want to have that conversation with JP, you can definitely look at the election section of R&D and talk to them about it. And then lastly, just let myself or Emily know if y'all want to pop in on judicial panel meetings. They are public, so we can tell y'all the room number or send you the link. And that's the end of the report.
Thank you. All right, good evening, everybody. I want to first start by acknowledging all of the hard work of the leadership team as well as others in the space. But I think about the first week of Senate this year and how much this body has grown and the leadership has grown under the care of this team. And I just really appreciate the service that's going to happen for students on this campus because of that. And I just want to acknowledge that. My advisor's report really is focused on health and well-being. There are 2 flu clinics that Campus Care is doing, and you can also get your COVID vax booster. They are already seeing flu at Campus Care. They are really expecting a bad flu season, so I just want to push that out there. But October 13th in Baker 233 from 9 to 11 is the first clinic, and then October 20th from 3 to 5, Baker 235 is the second one. All you need to do is bring your insurance card and your vax card, and they'll take care of you. So please consider that. The other thing I wanted to mention is CPS has what are called coping clinics. These are drop-in over teams, and they cover things that sometimes many of us struggle with from time to time. So like emotional regulation, my favorite topic, self-compassion, building distress tolerance. So you may hear of some students that you're working with, or you might yourself feel like I want to strengthen this. That's a great resource to do it, and it doesn't require kind of signing up or the complexity, so it's really easy to access. So important resource. And then the last reminder from Dean Barnhart is that if you haven't completed your anti-hazing training, make sure you do that. And we'll be reaching out to you if you haven't. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, now for the next talk on my own behalf. So I wanted to take a quick moment to introduce two interns. We have Morgan, who's on the Environmental Affairs Commission, and we have Molly, who's on the LGBTQ+ Affairs Commission. So they're here today. So go to them. I wanted so just reminder that like great. Also
I want to point out that though we have a lot of people in Senate, a lot more than I've seen in the past, keep doing outreach. There's still a couple people that can definitely get fit. So if you think for Christmas, for some to apply, sit down with them and apply, get them in Senate. And we have the possibility to be bigger, and I know what this. Lastly, I know it's been brought up by many other people. Please make sure you're taking care of yourself. If you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, don't be afraid to take a day off. As Chad said in the first, that's okay. You know, it's okay to shut your phone off for hours and not respond. I do sometimes. They need it, and that's definitely okay. But as always, if you all need anything at all, you know, find me. Back or email.
Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn the meeting? It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. Are there any objections to adjournment? No. All right, meeting is adjourned.
I did one
Oh, I said you.